For months now, Republicans and Democrats have been going back and forth about what to do when it comes to our spending, when it comes to our budget, and the Republicans have not put forward anything like a budget yet. God only knows when they will. That would be responsible governance. But what they have done is produced over 500 proposed bills that would limit funding to a slew of federal government programs and agencies. Sorry, I said bills. That makes it seem as if these are things that you can actually read. There's no text for any of these. They're just titles, basically. But supposedly they exist somewhere. And so the bill names included in this drop that the Republicans produced encompass everything from limiting funding for wildland fire management to the Kennedy Center. One bill says it would put a limitation on availability of funds for independent agencies, Office of Government Ethics, which is just giving the game away. Another bill would limit funds for the Supreme Court salaries and expenses. They control the Supreme Court. Why are they targeting it? They also want to cut people's salaries. They want to limit funds for things like CDC programs to help prevent birth defects, to the EPA's Superfund responsibility for cleaning up hazardous substances. So this coming in the wake of the Norfolk Southern train derailment that was pitched by them as a war on white people. Now they want to take away the ability to clean up things like it. They want to limit funds to the Department of Education as well. Basically everything. They want to cut everything. Programs that benefit all sorts of people, including conservatives in a million different ways. Again, there's no substance to any of this yet, but they've at least given across their their intent to cut all of these funds. Brett, what do you think?
Listen, I think there's tons of waste in government, and I'm fine with cutting the waste in government. I think it's particularly hilarious to cut Supreme Court salaries and expenses. I think expenses and salaries are two wildly different things. The expenses and some of the salaries in the Supreme Court support like the total amount of resources they have to, I assume, like research things and have clerks and people that make sure that whatever conclusions they draw have actual precedent. But I think that also is kind of giving away the game that like, listen, we write all the decisions for them. And we know they're gonna write the decisions we want because we have like a minor league baseball type farm system for justices in America on the right. So that's that. I think these are a great opportunity to really outline and spotlight what the Republicans think is wasteful. And wasteful for them is cleaning up after natural disasters. Wasteful for them is investing in the future through our children's education. And these folks say that they are on the side of children. No, they're not. They don't care about children. They only care about deregulation, cutting the parts of the government that are able to do oversight over what's wrong with them and all their corruption that they engage in.
Yeah, 100%. I think all this is fairly clear. And the thing is, one of the reasons they can do this, I think, is they understand, rightfully so. And maybe we can bring up this chart. That people do think, everybody thinks that we spend too much money. But why do they think that? What do they think is a waste of money? Very much just depends on the propaganda that they've been told. I mean, we could go through some of the specifics. Everybody thinks, like for instance, almost everybody thinks that we spend too much on assistance to other countries. I would counter by saying almost none of them have any idea how much we actually spend. When you ask, many people think that we spend something like 1/3 of our budget on foreign assistance. That's madness. It's like less than 1%. But bear in mind, they would also find that to be too much. So there's this feeling, and plenty of people think that we spend too much on the military as well. So it really goes both ways. There's this feeling about the spending that very rarely has any information that's feeding into it. It's just a feeling. And I think that when you have this anger and rage at the status quo combined with the lack of information about what actually constitutes it, it's very easy for people like the Republicans to weaponize that. That's sort of their go-to, ignorance combined with rage. Anyway, with that said, we do have to move on to our, you have a final point?
Yeah, I think the Republicans just are so mad at that, the second chart you put up, number 4, because for most, and this is the delicate dance of politics. For most people, folks think we don't spend enough on stuff that on specific issues, or we spend about right. Like the vast majority of the issues is about right or not enough. And those two things together is in most of those scenarios less, is more than half. But obviously there's things that folks think we spend too much on, which creates this answer to the question, do we spend too much? Where most people think we should spend less. And so the delicate dance of the Republicans is to harness the government spends too much and make you, and just vote based on that and get in office based on they're spending too much. And then when they cut things, they actually always end up cutting what you think we're not spending enough money on. That's their dance.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.